Hi, welcome to this video series on how to build a web app that connects volunteers with elders in ASP.NET. My name is Ayuba Ojonugomoazu, and I'm a blockchain engineer and software developer from Africa, Nigeria. And if you have been following my channel on the education ecosystem, you would have probably watched my video tutorials ranging from blockchain to emerging technologies such as computer visions, ASP.NET, web programming, and of course C#. Now in this video tutorial here, we're going to build a web app that connects volunteers with elders in ASP.NET, grandpas and grandmas. And take a look at this scenario. Currently we are in the COVID-19 crisis, and then we have a lot of elderly people that are indoors and they don't really have the funds to get things done for them. For example, a grandpa living somewhere will want his garden to be done for him, will want the dishes probably to be fixed for him, will want his house to be cleaned up, and maybe he doesn't have the funds, and he's just looking for volunteers that will help him fix all those things. So we're going to design this application in such a way that volunteers that want to help grandmas and grandpas and senior citizens out can log onto the website and see a list of elders or senior citizens in need. So the senior citizen will see a profile of who is coming, the time the person is coming, and what the person has volunteered to do. But of course, before that should happen, the elderly person would have posted what he wants, whether he wants his laundry to be done for him, whether he wants the garden to be fixed for him, and all that. So basically, that's just what the application is going to look like. So I'm going to walk you through and we're going to learn some concepts, ranging from security to database design and how we can achieve a scenario like this. Now our application, the overview of our application is going to look like this. We're going to have two roles or two actors in the system. We're going to have the elders, which are the senior citizens, and then we're going to have the volunteers. Now each and every one of these actors will have to register into the system and update their profile or set up their profile. So they'll register, will have to know their first name, their last name, and just their basic profile and all that. Then in the case of the elderly person, he can record assistance needed. For example, maybe he needs his garden to be fixed for him, or he needs his washing machine that is broken to be fixed for him. So he can record assistance needed. And then the volunteer that logs into the website will see a list of elders in need per city. So for example, if you're living in New York and then a particular zip code, you can search for elders in need in that particular zip code, and you see them and you see the assistance they need, and then you can place an offer to assist that elderly person. So once you place that offer, the elderly person will see volunteers per assistance. So he will see a volunteer that is ready to come help fix his broken machine or help fix his broken TV and all that. So the elderly person can see the person and the time the volunteer is coming around to fix it. So of course, the volunteer will, like I said, see a list of elders in need per city. So they'll see the address of the elderly person and all that. So that's just what we are going to build. So stay with me in this video tutorial while I walk you through the process of setting up a web application like this. Once again, my name is Ayuba Ojonugomoazu. Hi, welcome to session 1 on this video series on how to build a web app that connects elders with volunteers in ASP.NET. My name is Ayuba Ojonugomoazu. Now, in this session 1 here, we're going to go through the process of setting up our application structure in Visual Studio, designing our database, and setting up authentication and authorization. That means we're looking at securing our application. So to quickly get started, we're going to use our Visual Studio. So I have my Visual Studio 2015 installed. Anyway, this is start from the last project. Now you go to File, you go to New. Once you're launching your Visual Studio, now you make sure that you launch your Visual Studio as an administrator if you're connected to local IIS. But if not, you can just log into your Visual Studio the normal way. So we'll go to New, go to New Website. We're going to create a new website. We're going to call it Elders Volunteers, or any name that suits us. So we open Visual Studio. Good. Now I have DevExpress installed. I have a whole lot of other packages installed here. You can see I have DevExpress 15.1 and DevExpress 17.2 installed. But I'm going to go to ASP.NET's web form site. And I'm going to name these Elders Volunteers app, for example. Okay, so you can see I'm running these on HTTP location, and you can run yours on file system or FTP depending on which choice is okay for you. HTTP means I'm connected to my local IIS, and I can run it here on file system, which means I'll use the installed IIS that comes with Visual Studio. So now that I'm here, I'm gonna click OK. Make sure it's Visual C#, and then I click on OK. So this is going to set the project for us. Going to create some ASP.NET is going to do some magic for us, like setting up a full-blown application, you know, with security and every other thing. But of course, I'm going to modify my security, and we're just going to use our own kind of security that we want in this application. So you can see a lot of things are being added to the web app. Like this is currently adding Microsoft.web.infrastructure 1.12 projects. So we'll just wait for these to get set up before we can proceed. So I'll wait for this project to get created. Good. So Visual Studio has set up a complete application for us. I can right click on this and view these in my web browser. So let's go right ahead and do that. Okay, I think the computer is trying to respond. Let's just wait a little. So I right click on this, I can view this in my browser, which currently I'm using the Google Chrome. So I wait for this. Okay, good. So you can see a full-blown application is being created here, and then we're going to modify these to suit what we want. So quickly, I can just oh sorry, I'm going to let's close out. Okay, let's go to site master first. Now let's change the application name. So here is the on the head tag of the HTML head tag. You can just call these elders app or grandpa's app. Just say elders grandpa, which one is better? Or seniors. Let's just say volunteers app. So we scroll down, and then the application name here, we can change this. So volunteers app. And then here too, I can say volunteers app. So now I have this. I can save this and then refresh this now. So good. So we have this. Now you can see if you click on the register, ASP.NET has done this for us, where we can use this registration page. But of course, we're going to modify this a little, more especially from the code behind, to fit into what we want. Then the application also has a home, about, so you can place any information you want to place about this application here. Contact, you can place any information you want to place about the contacts of this application here. Then of course we'll have the home. So I can just modify this home a little. You go to default, and then here I can say volunteers app, and then I can just change it to say an app that connects elders and volunteers in a community. And then get started. So register with us, and get volunteers within your neighborhood. I guess I spelled this neighborhood correctly. Then I can just say live happily. Helping others in need gives you fulfillment. Then let's say happy old age. Let the younger ones serve you while you enjoy your retirement. Okay, so something like this. So you can modify this to, these are just my words, so you can modify this to fit into what you want. So let's refresh this and see. Okay, good. So you can see I've made some changes here and there to fit what I need to do. Now the second thing is I'm going to concentrate on the security part of this application, and then to do that you go to your C drive, and then okay, before I do that, let's create the database first. So I have SQL Server installed, SQL Server 2014. You can use any of the SQL Server. So I'm logged into it. Now you go to database. We're just going to create a new database. I'm just going to create a new database. And then I'm going to call it volunteers DB. So I click OK. Now I have volunteers DB here. Another thing is I'm going to create a folder here. I call this elders, just to fit in the roles that we have, elders. And then I'm going to create another one. I'll call this volunteers. So now I have both elders and volunteers folder. So everything that has to do with elder will be placed here. Everything that has to do with volunteers will be placed here. Okay. So now from here, let's try to configure ASP.NET services. So you go to your C drive, go to Windows, then search for Microsoft.NET, which we have here. Choose your framework. My framework 64, and then choose the highest framework here, of course, which is version 4.0. And then we look for ASP.NET Register SQL, which is this. So I click on that. And then good. So welcome to ASP.NET SQL Server Setup Wizard. So here we configure membership, profiles, role management, and other things that has to do with securing authentication and authorization of our application. So I click on next. You can see what database tasks you want to perform. Is it to configure SQL Server for application services or remove application services from an existing database? So you leave the first option checked. Click on next. Now here's my server name, is UPC, but if you don't know your server name, you can use dots. It's still the same thing. Server name is your computer name actually. And then now we choose a database we want. Okay, we have two kinds of authentication here. Well, Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. Now I chose Windows authentication because that's how I authenticated my SQL Server when I was installing. But of course, you can choose SQL Server authentication to put in your username and then your password. So I'll go right ahead and click volunteers DB. That's the database we're interested. Go to next. I go to next. And then I click finish. So good. Now if I go to my database, volunteers DB, and then I refresh the tables, good, you can see I have a lot of tables here that has to do with ASP.NET membership. Now we're going to look at these tables while we are configuring, while we are connecting our application to our database and all that. Another thing, if you go to your web config file, we're going to change this connection string to fit into what we have. But before we do that, we have to design the database table and then and other things that are involved. So now we have our application set up. Like I said, our application structure, the folders and everything. The next thing is we're going to design our database tables in the next video. Then we'll also look at designing our forms, our user interfaces, securing the application before we dive into fixing the pieces of the puzzle together. So stay with me until the next video while we proceed. Thank you for watching. Okay, all right. Continuing from where we stopped in the last video, we're able to set up application structure to have it in this format. Now, we are going to design the few tables that we need in our database aside the database that we have that has to do with aside the database that we have that has to do with membership. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create the volunteers database by right clicking the volunteers table rather by right clicking on this, click on table, and then we're just going to put in, we'll create the elders profile, that's the seniors, the elderly person's profile, and then the volunteers person's profile. So let me start by saying let me just say elder ID. Yeah, we'll make this an integer. So make that an integer. Okay, so you click on this, and then you set it as a primary key by clicking on this key button there. Okay, so scroll down, and then we are going to make this identity specification. So it's identity. We're going to make this toggle this to be X. Then we need the full name. We need the full name of the elderly person, so we can make this envar character maybe 150. Should be okay. Then we also need date of birth, so we can calculate his age. So date of birth, and then so make this date time. Then city of residence, city of residence. So now for simplicity case, I'm going to use Nigeria as case study. So I'm going to just have different cities we have here in Nigeria as case study. So city of residence, city of residence, should we, okay, all right, no problem. City of residence, this is just envar 50. Well, I was thinking of creating another table for that so that we can have different cities, and then here will be a drop down box in our interface. But for simplicity case, let's just leave it like this. Then phone number of the elderly person. So city, then a house address. So in the city he is, the house address. So that I can make it 150. Then of course we need his picture, so we need to see him. So we'll say I can just say, yeah, picture. So envar call and maximum. Okay, then we need his username. So as we need his username, so we can use this to track this particular person. So I think this should be okay. So I'm just gonna call this TBL elders. Should be, we'll have their profile. Then for volunteers, we also need the same thing. It's the same thing that we have here. We also need to have profile of the volunteer. So right click on this, go to table. So we go to volunteers ID. So like I said, you must be a member of this application for you to be able to use it either as an elder or as a volunteer. So I make this identity specification true. Then full name as a full name of the volunteer. Can make this 150. Then date of birth. Date time like this. Then we also need to know his city of residence. Then we also need to know his phone number. Then we also need to get his house address. So you can increase this profile information to capture every other thing that you think is necessary. So we also need this picture. So we're going to have this. Now, okay, good. So let's save this. TBL volunteers. So I click OK. Now the next thing is assistance. Next thing is assistance table. So for assistance table, we can say assistance ID, integer assistance underscore ID. Make this a primary key, and to increment it by 1 by setting identity specification to be true. Okay. Then elder ID, the elder in need of this assistance. So it will be a foreign key here. Then the next thing is assistance title. TLE. I can make this long, maybe 250. Then assistance description. Then okay, good. Then I think we should have a volunteer ID for the volunteer that's the person that volunteers to do this assistance. So we should have his ID. So we just keep that set volunteer ID. So this should also be a foreign key to our volunteer table. And then status. So the status of this volunteer here will either show pending or completed. If it's pending, it means the elderly person has not marked this assistance as completed. That means the volunteer person has not really completed what he said he's gonna do. But if it's completed, if the elderly person marks this is completed, then it means that has been completed. So I'm just going to leave it as n varchar, and then let's save this. So we say TBL assistance. So I think these 3 tables will suffice based on what I've seen. These 3 tables should suffice. Okay, so now let's try and bring these tables into our form so that we can change this connection string. Now, one of the fastest and easiest way you can do that is go to your app code and then create a data set. So let's click on that app code folder, go to add new item, and then we search through until we get a data set. Then I can call this maybe volunteers data set. I click on add. Okay, so now you can see use the dataset designer to visually create and edit typed dataset, because what we're creating now is a typed dataset, which is a visual representation of our database tables here on our form. So right click on this, go to add table adapter. You can see it says choose your data connection, specify the connection string required to connect to the database. Now currently we don't have any connection string, so we're going to create a new connection by clicking on new connection. Now it's in also add connection. We have data source here. Make sure it's Microsoft SQL Server client. Assuming we're using a database, we can change that and select the appropriate database, but for this leave it on Microsoft SQL Server. So Now the server name, like I said, if you don't know your computer name, you can just put dots, and then depending on how you installed your SQL Server, you can either use the credentials for your SQL Server authentication, or you leave it on Windows authentication. So for mine, I'm gonna leave it on Windows authentication. So connect to database. So click on this to load the database names. Good. Now I'm using volunteers DB. So I click here to test my connection, and everything is working fine. So I go right ahead now and click OK. Good. So if you click here now, you will see your connection string. Now let's hit the next button. Now it's asking us to save this connection string in our web config file. That's just what this means. And it would be a nice thing to save the connection string in our web config file, so that whenever we want to interact with our database, we know that the connection string has been stored somewhere. Now go right again and click next. Now it's saying choose a command type. How should the data table adapter access the database? We have three options here. We have the use SQL statements, where we can write statements to insert, update, and delete queries. Then we also have create new stored procedures if we're interested in using stored procedure on this, and we can use existing stored procedures that we've written before. So I'm going to leave this on the first option, and then we'll click on next. Now it's saying we should enter an SQL statement. So we can write these by hand, write any SQL statement here by hand, but it's easier to hit the query builder button, so we can have the wizard that will make this very easy for us. So good. So I can refresh this if you've made changes to your tables. Now the first one is, let me click on elders table, add it, close, and then I'm select each of the fields one by one. And click OK, click next. Now, which method do you want to add to the table adapter? Now, there are three methods here. Fill a data table, we don't need that. Then return data table, yes, we need that. And then create methods to send updates directly to the data tables. Generate DB direct methods, so we need that also. And then we click on next. And then we click on finish. By seeing the wizard results, you can see generated select statement, insert, update, delete, and every other statement. So the next thing is just to click on finish, and then we have our table created. Okay, so that's for the elders table. The next thing is for the volunteers table. Okay, sorry, just 1 minute. Good. Now we right click on that, go to add table adapter, and then so we do the same thing, but now we already have a connection string that is stored in our config file, so it makes it much more easier for us now to handle. So we click on next. You can see we have the options, of course, just like I explained earlier on. So we click on next, click on query builder, and then click on volunteers, add, click on this to close this. So we go like this. Then click on OK, click on next, fill in this data table, hit the next button, and then we finish. So for the assistance needed, we add table adapter, next, click on query builder, refresh this, and then assistance, add, click on this to close. So we add all the fields that are required. Okay, click on next, uncheck this, click on next, and then we finish. So with these now we have three visual representation of our table, our database table here as table adapters. Now you should know that table adapters act actually as a bridge between your application and your database. So it is more or less like a middle layer connecting your application to the database. So if you go back to your web config file now, you can see that we have two connection strings. We have the first one, which is created for us by default by Visual Studio, and that's to connect us to SQL Express, so we don't need that. And we have the second one, which is the volunteers DB connection string we just created. So select this and remove that. So I'll go right ahead and save this. Okay, so let's pause this video tutorial here and continue in the next session, where we are going to look at our web config file properly and configure both the membership, profile, role manager, and every other thing for security issues on this application. All right, thank you for watching. All right, continuing from where we stopped in the last video, we were able to create our database tables. We're able to create these three tables here. We have the elders table, which we capture the profile of the senior citizen or the elderly person that is going to be in need. Then we also capture the volunteers table, which includes the profile of the volunteer that is offering for assistance. Then we have the assistance table, which the elderly person will fill, and then stating the assistance that he or she needs, of course with the description of what he or she needs. And then we have this field here called status that shows the current status of the assistance in need. Discussing security, since we were able to bring this volunteers DB connection string to our web config file, we need to make some changes that will make securing our application much more easier. So the first thing, the authentication mode we're going to use in this system here will be forms. So you just select that and you change this to forms. Then if you scroll down a little bit, you can see we have ASP.NET, we have membership providers, and then it says ASP.NET membership is disabled in this template. So you can click on this link to see the reason why it's disabled. Anyway, the reason why it's disabled is because it doesn't even conform to they disabled it because the kind of security mechanism they use doesn't really require having this here. Anyway, we are going to configure it, and then we're going to see how this will be beneficial to us. So let's start with the membership table, with the membership. So you click, you add name, and then we call this is going to be ASP.NET SQL membership provider. So ASP.NET SQL membership provider. Right, then the type will be system.web security.sql membership provider. So system. Now you should be careful about the casing, as you can see, because the web config file is case sensitive. So system.web security SQL membership provider, SQL membership provider. Okay, so the connection string now, connection string, a connection string name will be what we have here, volunteers DB connection string. So just go right ahead and copy that, and then I paste it here. Right, so the next thing is we're going to do some configuration like enabling password retrieval and all that. So let me just put it through. So we say enable password retrieval. So we say enable password retrieval. This should be false. We're just going to look at a simple way of authenticating and authorizing our application. So enable password reset. Enable password reset. That should be set to true. Then require question and answer should be false. So require question and answer. Question and answer. Now, like I said, you should be careful with the case sensitivity. So require unique email, that should also be false. Require unique email, that should also be false. Then we're going to look at maximum invalid password attempts. So how many times should the user attempt password? So maximum invalid password attempts. So we can put a number, I'll make it 5. Then minimum required password length. Minimum minimum required password length. LENGTH, right? That should be length, yes. So we can say 6. The minimum required non-alphanumeric characters. You know, it should be has to do with password. Minimum required non-alphanumeric characters. So we can just make that 0. And password attempts window. Password attempts window. This should be 10. Then of course application name. And that's application name. So we have these configured for ASP.NET membership provider. Now we'll also look at profile provider, although we don't really need profile provider here, but I'm just show you how you can also use profile provider for configuring your applications. So add name is going to be ASP.NET SQL profile provider. ASP.NET SQL profile provider, right? Now the next thing is of course the type, which is system.web.profile.sql profile provider. System.web.profile.sql profile provider. Good. Then of course the connection string name. Connection string name. So this would be the same thing with the connection string we have here. So just copy that and I paste that here. Then of course the application name, and that should be this. Okay, so that's for profile provider. Now if you scroll down, you can see we also have role manager, but the first one we're going to do about role manager here is we're going to enable it. So enable should be true. So now that we've enabled it, you go to providers, clear, just after clear, add name, ASP.NET SQL role provider, ASP.NET SQL role provider. So the type shall be system.web.security.sql role provider, system.web security .sql role provider, SQL role provider. Then connection string name, we copy the volunteer DB connection string name. And last but not the least will be the application name. Good, so we've configured ASP.NET role provider. So let's just scroll down and see if there's anything we need to change or add. Okay, good. So this is saying remove from authentication. So now we need from authentication. So now we're able to do this now, right? The next thing is since we're able to configure this on our code behind on our web config rather, the next thing will be to try to create a user with which the user could be a volunteer or an elderly person. But before I do that, I need to create a role, where users belong to. So it's either you're a volunteer or you're an elderly person. If we go to register.tspx, and then if I go here, you can see Visual Studio has created a nice simple interface for us for registering users. So we're going to give our users the opportunity to register based on who they are. It's either you're a volunteer, like I said, or you're an elderly person. This is taking some time. Actually, I've not refreshed this before hitting that button. My computer has been at sleep for a long time. Okay, so let me refresh that and then hit the register button again. So you can see now username, password, and confirm password. Now what I'm just going to do is since we have this in form group, I'm just going to say div class form group. All right, now I can actually add my video button to determine which kind of user you are going to be. So let me just add a label here. We'll call it label 1. with the following CSS class. Should be com md2 control label, right? And then the text is going to be please choose sign up this registration type. So good. So you're going to choose your registration type. Either you're a volunteer, like I said, or you are an elderly person. So I'm looking for my radio button. Good. So I'm gonna have my radio button here. That will be rad elder. Then the second radio button. Rad volunteer. Volunteer. Good. So it's a group name, and then I can just say VOL, just anything. Group name VOL. So with this now we have remodified our registration page. Okay, choose registration type. This is not really cool the way I want. Okay, let me see what is done here. We have div class column md10. So I'm just following what's seen here. So div class md10. Copy this, paste it here. So I refresh this page. Oh, I'm still having issues with display. It's not displaying how I want it. Okay, I need to give the radio button a name. So text, whether you're registering as an elder or volunteer. Okay, good. Okay, so choose registration type. Either you're coming as an elder or can decide to put a break like this. What am I missing? I can see MD2 control label this. So sheet is control ID. Just say maybe right elder. So refresh it again. Okay, good. So choose registration type of either an elderly person or a volunteer. So let me try and separate that actually. So after this form group here, I can put a break and draw a horizontal rule. Did I put this in the right place? Of course. Okay, anyway, we have this like this. I'm gonna try and put it in between these and see. Let's refresh this. Well, I wonder why the horizontal is not listening. Anyway, okay, let me remove this right here. I just want it to look more beautiful. So as I'm doing all this testing, good. Let me just say choose type instead of choose registration type. Let me make the text much more simple and easier to read. Just say choose type. So choose type. Okay, good. So I think it's easier this way. So you choose your registration type, whether an elder or volunteer. Now you enter your username, your password, and then you confirm your password. So in the next video tutorial, we're going to see how we're going to program this page. That will be totally different from what Microsoft has done for us. So we're going to program this page and the login page, and then we should be able to log in based on the roles that are being selected. So just stay with me until the next video where I will proceed. Thank you for watching. In the last video, we was able to modify the registration page to have a choose type. So you're going to choose whether you're an elder or volunteer, and then you enter your credentials and then you click register to be able to register into the system. Now in this video here, we're going to continue as part of the setting up authentication and authorization mechanism for our application. What we're going to do now is continue from where we stopped in the last video actually, and then we're going to program this registration page. Just right click on this, go to view code. Let's see what Visual Studio has done for you. So Visual Studio has this piece of code here and we're not interested in it, so just remove this. Right, good. Then you can just come here, and then I said using system web security. Let's have this here. Then we can put this in our try and catch block. It's usually good to do that. So try catch exception. So if okay, since we're starting these, I think we should quickly create the roles. We should quickly add the roles to our system, the roles of elders and volunteers. So just go to default, right click on default code. You can actually do this anyway actually. So that's okay. can just do this here. So it says using system web security. So on page load, we can just say roles, create role. So the first one will say elders, right? So we'll just say elders. So we'll have the elders role, and then we'll create another roles. Volunteers. So we have these two roles here. So let's quickly refresh, go to our default page so that that role can take effect. Good. So since this page can be displayed, it means the roles has been registered onto the system. All right. So let's go back to our registration page. Since we're able to create the roles now, what we're going to do now is say membership. That's our create user. So the username is a username text, which is a text box that we have here, which has been defined for us by Visual Studio. So the name of the text box here is called username. The name of the password here is called password. So, and here we have rad elder, rad volunteer, and then password dot text, right? But of course, in doing this, we have to do some if-else statements. So we're going to say if rad elder dot checked is true, then copy this piece of code, paste it here, and then roles add user to role. The username is a username and then the role name should be elders, right? Elders. Else if, I can just put this below. So else if rad elder, rad volunteer checked is true, membership, create user, username, text, then password, text. So say roles, add user to role, username, text, and then we'll have volunteers. So I save this. Then we can handle our error. So we have this ASP literal run out server error message, so we can just handle our error there. And then here you can see error message text should be so if we're able to create a user, the user should be automatically logged in, I guess. the user should be automatically, or the user should be redirected to the login page so he can log in. That's what we should do. So in both cases, you can just say you can just say response should redirect to the login page. Accounts, it's in the account folder, which is this account login.aspx. So the user can now be redirected to the accounts page and then log in. So let's refresh this page again. Let's go to register. So you can see our add button. So let's say elder. Let's give a name. Who is an elderly person? Okay, username. Let's use my name. It's usually easy for me to remember. You see, it's an elderly person. And then password. So I enter my password. And then I register. Okay, there is a problem. Actually, would not recognize required. I think it's required. It's ED. I usually make this mistake actually. It's required. Requires question and answer. It requires question and answer. You usually make that mistake. So requires question and answer. So that's the correct. Let's refresh this page again. So select an elder. Let me change the password to something I can easily remember. Oh wow. Requires unique email. Push requires unique email. And let me check again. Well, these are very case sensitive and just have to get everything right. So let's try it again. Good, so we've registered into the system. Now you can come here, you can go to the registration the login page rather. We go to the login page, go to view code. You can see Visual Studio has done some work for us here, but we don't need this, so I'm just going to remove all this for now. Just remove them. So on the login button, which is this, so we're just going to code this. But first of all, we need to do this using system.web security. And then we can also put this in the trying cards block. It's usually good like that. So it's a membership that validates the user. So validating the username text box that has been entered, and the password text box that has been entered. Okay, let's do this. If we validate this to be true, and then if user, we'll have to check the role the user belongs to, so we know appropriately where we can direct the user to. Okay, well, anyway, we don't need to do that here. So once we validate the user, this is correctly logged in, just a response should redirect to our default page. Default.spx. Right, if not, we throw an error. Now I can borrow that just borrow this error message, and then I can paste it here. We call it error message. So we know the reason why the user is not logged in. Ex to string. Okay, so let's refresh this login page and try to log in as an elder. Let's see. Error message is already used by another control. Okay, do you have? Oh, we already have that, so it's my bad. So we'll remove the one we added, and then okay. Oh, here's failure text. Let me just use this. Oh, this has been changed here. This was placed in the placeholder, and this failure text. Failure text should be this. Okay, good. So let me log in now. This is my username. Enter my password. Good. But now, once I'm logged in, I'm supposed to be welcomed that, okay, I'm supposed to have my identity displayed here as normal websites, most normal websites do. So we're going to fix that right away. And to do that is simple. So we need to maintain a session of our login information. So you go to you see forms authentication, and then set authentication cookie for username, text, and then create persistent cookie. You leave that true, and before we are redirected. So let's refresh and go back to login. Good, so you can see I'm logged in here. Now, while this is being displayed, is because it was being set up for us by Visual Studio. If you go to site.master, you can see we have a login view here. If you look at the navbar header, scroll down a little, you see we have a login view here. Anonymous template means when a user is not logged in yet, what should be displayed. And that's why we have the register and the login button once you log off. And once the user is logged in, you can see we have hello, and then the user's username will be displayed alongside a login status for the user to log out. So that's how that is being configured for us. And then of course you can click here to log off. Then you're logged out of the application. So now let's register a new volunteer in. Let's click registration. And then let's a volunteer, and his name is Sam. Okay, his username should be maybe Samuel. But let me use Steve. Good, so he logs in. Good, so hello Steve, and then he could log off. Now the next thing we're going to do, which probably is going to be in the next video, is to configure our roles properly so that each user will be authorized according to the role level he is. For example, the volunteer should be able to have different pages on what he can do, and then the elderly person is also supposed to have different pages on what he or she can do on the website. So we're going to do that in the next video once we start designing the user interface and all that. Thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to session 2 on this video series on how to build a web app that connects elders and volunteers in ASP.NET. In the last video, in session 1, we were able to set up our application structure. We designed our database, and then we set up authentication and authorization rules for application. So in session 2 here, we are going to continue by designing our user interfaces. We're going to design the profile page, and then of course also the assistance page. But before we do that, if you go to your Visual Studio, if you can remember in the beginning, I created two folders. I have the volunteer folders and the elder folders, and the idea is once you're logged in according to your role, either as an elder or volunteer, you will be redirected to the appropriate pages that you can interact with the application as per these business rules that we are creating. So if we go to site.master, of course, which is here, you can see that we have a login view here that displays both for anonymous templates and logged in templates. Now we can also do this. We can also have a login view for that will display pages that has to do with volunteers and elders. And to do that is very simple. What we just need to do now is we write this here. and then we drop our login view here. Pick our login view, we drop it here, then open that. So we go to roles group, and then ESP role group. So roles. So the first time is elders. That's the first role. So we can put in our controls, and then I'm gonna put this control here, something like this. Or let me see. I can actually put in a UL navbar. Okay, no problem. So the first one we can just say profile. Now I think the best way to do this will be to create this again. So I want to put so much codes. Thinking of the best way to do this. Have profile, right? And then the elder can update his profile, and then he can also create assistance, like he can also seek for assistance. So that's what I'm trying to do. So you copy this again, that's another link, and then I can say seek assistance, right? The issue is I don't want this to be on the same. I'm just looking for the best way to make these. I'm just looking for the best way to have this on the same line, because with this and there's gonna be a break. So that's what I'm looking at. We have UL navbar collapse. Let's look at the interface properly, the design. Okay, I think I can actually put this. Okay, I think I can actually put a login view in here before the LI control. So I'm going to remove this, and then I do this like this. So I have Y, and then I also do this. So I have this seek assistance. Now let me log in as an elder and see whether what I did is correct. So let me wait and see. Let's just wait a little. Of course, I know this is going to be an issue, so I'll refresh this page again. Okay, good. So let's log in now. So the elder, we have this username and password. Click the login button. Okay, good. So I have a profile seek assistance, so that is okay. I think that's better that way. All right then. So we can also, now this is for this for the roles elders. We can create another roles, another role group, of course, which is volunteers. So if you're logged in as a volunteers, you should also have content templates. Of course, the volunteer will also need him to update his profile just like the elder, but then we're going to have a different link for that. So a run server href. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to put the links. Profile, and then so here is going to be search for assistance on server. Sorry. Search for assistance. So the idea is the volunteer will search for assistance, and then the elder will seek assistance. So he's in need of assistance, or I can just say assistance, assistance and needs. And then here I can see search for assistance. Okay, all right, that's okay. Now if I come to my page here, if I come to my folder here, elders, and I click on this, I'm going to add a new item. I'm going to call it profile, elder profile, because profile is a reserved word in ASP.NET. So call this elder profile. That profile.aspx, select your master page, click on add, and that should be site.master. Then we'll create another page. Call this assistance and needs. Assistance needs. This is for the elder. And for the volunteers, we also have profile. Volunteers profile. So we add a new item. Call this volunteers profile. Click on OK. And then search. You can just call this search. Call this search. Good. Now we have this. So now I'll go back to my sites.master and make changes to reflect this. So for the elders here, I'm just gonna do this. Profile, right? So we say elder profile. And then assistance and needs. Elder, sorry, assistance needs. Then here we have the volunteers profile. where he can set up his profile. And then search for assistance. So if we refresh this page now, since we are logged in as an elder, so once we click here, you can see it's going to take us to our elder profile page. And once we click here, we're going to see assistance and needs. So the same thing for the volunteer. If we're logged in using the volunteers account, which of course what I did was Steve, right? Okay, so this is Steve. I think I entered the wrong password. Okay, good. So you can see profile and then search for assistance. So that's what Steve can do as a volunteer. Now the next thing we need to do now is to create the profile interface for each of these actors or user group. So I can go to the elder page, go to elder profile, and then I can make this very easy for myself by picking this jumbotron here. If I go to default, so I just pick this first div here because I like it. So I go to elder's profile. So I drop that. You can see elder's profile. So for some places, I'm just going to use a table. Say style a table with 100%. So we need the elder's full name. I'm going to drop a text box there. So I drop an ASP.NET text box there. Then we also need the date of birth. Now I can drop my DevExpress control that I have. They have an ASPX date edit, which is very cool. So date, keep on pressing the keyboard here, the caps lock, date of birth, so that we can calculate his age. So we need to capture that too. So like I said, I'm going to use the DevExpress control here. So as a prerequisite to this tutorial, you need to install DevExpress, which will make things easier for you. And you can go to the website www.devexpress.com, and then you can download a demo package that you can integrate to your Visual Studio and use for this tutorial. So I picked ASPS date edit. It takes quite some time because we're putting this for the first time. Good, so you can see it has added this assembly for us here. So I can just leave it default as it is. Then we also need city of residence. So we need to know the city of residence. Let's pick Dev Express combo box and drop. So I can give this a name. That's a CBO city. Items. So let's say we're focusing in Nigeria, right? This item text, we have a Lagos, and the value also should be Lagos. So I'll just put some few cities. We have Kogi, the value should be Kogi. Now we have Abuja. The value should be Abuja. I think Kogi here should be changed to Lokoja. And then we have another city called Jos. Value Jos. Let's put the last city, maybe Calabar. Value should be Calabar. Okay, so that should be city of residence, which you can choose from. Then a phone number, we also need the elder's phone number. So you can see, first of all, you'll be logged into the application before you're able to update your profile like this. So we say phone number. So we'll just drop a text box and drop our normal text box. So I can give this a name. I can say text phone number, text phone, just like how I can give this a name, text full name. And then in this I can leave this like that. Then we need a house address. We need to know the house address of the grandpa. It's complete house address. So I can make the text mode show the multi-line. And finally, we need to see a picture of whom we are dealing with, right? We need to see his picture. So we say upload picture. Not a tree view actually. I've been pressing wrong keys on my keyboard today. So we can use our file upload, which is this, to be able to upload stuff. Then lastly, we can drop a button. We can say update profile. So we give this a class, CSS class, btn, btn, info. So just say update profile. Now, why I use the word update profile here is once the elder clicks the profile, all our text boxes here will actually be loaded up with the information that we've already stored in the database. So if there's no information stored in the database, it's going to be empty. But if information is stored in the database, then we're going to display that information. And the elder can now update his profile accordingly. So let's just refresh this and see what we have done. So I'm going to click on profile. Oh, sorry, I'm logged in as a volunteer. Just log in as an elder. So for an art like this, you could put a picture here, a sliding picture showing happy elderly people with you know, with volunteers and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll click on profile. Okay, so we have an issue here. DevExpress components requires ASPX HTTP handler module and web config file. Okay, I think I'll fix that in the next video because I have to look at how to add this handler module. I think we're adding it somewhere here. ASPX HTTP handler module. Okay, before we fix this error, since it's the same interface we're gonna have for elder profile, let me pick this piece of code I wrote here completely and also put it in volunteers profile because it's the same logic, the same interface, just a few changes. So I paste that and then I change this to volunteers profile. Volunteers profile. So we have elders profile. So okay, then I also need to pick this.
Yes.
I also need to pick this and then paste it here. And then paste it here. Okay, so okay, I think that's all for this. So we'll fix the error in the next video and see how we can fix everything together. Thank you for watching. Hi, continuing from where we stopped in the last video, if you can recall, we got an error message on our web config file. And to fix that, it's very easy. I'll fix that here, so I'm just going to show you how I did that. Now, under modules in system.web.server, inside the modules tag, you add this add type devexpress.web.axpx http handler module, comma devexpress.web. The version you're using. So if it's 15.1 or 17.1, you put that, and then culture neutral public token, put this value, and then name AXPX HTTP handler module. Then after that again, you put these handlers, then add type devexpress.web.axps HTTP handler module, devexpress. Just the same thing you added up. So it's just gonna be the same thing you add here. Only here now you add this verb is equals to get path dx.ax hx and then name and then precondition integrated mode. So you put that you add that like that, and then once you're able to fix this, that will fix that error problem that we have if you save and run again. So now we are going to continue from where we stopped in designing our user interface. If we go back and log in again, and then we log in as an elder, we can get to see the profile page that we created. So if I'm logging in as an elder now, I will see the profile page that was created. So you click on this. So good. So you can see Elder's profile, where we're going to have his full name, date of birth. You can select this control, city of residence. So I just have these few cities, his phone number, his house address, and then you choose a file to upload the Elder's picture, this person's picture. So the next thing, and this also the same thing with a volunteer. If you log off and then you log in with the volunteer's account, volunteer we just created, we created Steve as a volunteer. So it's the same logic, it's the same profile interface we have for both of them. So volunteer's profile is the same thing. Now the next thing is we're going to design the interface to be able to add for the elder to be able to add an assistant, like to seek for assistance. So here we're going to create that interface, and then so we'll just log in with his account. So elders assistance need, we call it. And then I can actually pick this jumbotron here, just like that. So we say assistance needs for elders. So I can make this H2 for instance, and then I will say assistance, just any name you can call it. I'll put a break. Now I'm gonna use a dev express grid view control here. Will suffice, and it will make our work much more easier. So for the interface, you just go to your dev express control, go to data and analytics. Which dev express control am I using? Is it 15.1 or 17.1? Let me get to see in my LS profile. Okay, I use 15.1. So sorry, my bad. Now so 15.1, right? So I pick XPS grid view. I drop this here. Make the weight 100%, and that's all. That's what we need here, just until we come into programming that interface. Then we are going to see how we can make our modifications. So just refresh that page and then just look at how the page looks like. Yeah, this taking quite some time, but still refreshing. Okay, so we'll go to assistance and needs. So assistance, so we have our grid view here, and we're going to do a lot of programming here. We're going to display our list of assistants for this elder, and then you can seek for assistance by clicking a button which will be embedded in this grid view. We'll do that once we program in the page. So he'll be able to add assistant, edit assistants, and all that. So then I think that is okay. I think that is okay, and he can be able to also see the assistance button and complete the task. Okay, let me see how am I gonna do this now to make it much more easier. Okay, all right, let's just leave this page here, and then let's go to the volunteers page. So we'll come back here. Let's go to the volunteers page. Let's log in as a volunteer and see the next thing that we need to do, which will also be grid view specific. So everything we're going to do will also be grid view specific. So search for assistance. So we'll click on this. We're going to display the grid view tool, and then there's going to be a search box where you can search for assistant by city. Okay, all right. Let me pick the same interface. I'll just drop this anywhere in between. So we'll copy this, and then go to search on volunteers page, and then we'll drop this. So search assistance by city. By city, right? Then of course I need to pick this. To paste this here. Then I need to drop my combo box, in which, to make it easy, I can just go to the elders profile, any of them, and then I can just pick this table here. So select city so that we can populate the grid view. So search for assistance, or we could just say assistant elder. I think we need to change that to assistant elder instead of search for assistance. It's more appropriate to change it to assist elder. And here you can see elders seeking assistance by city. Such elders seeking assistance by city. That will be most appropriate. Okay, search elder seeking assistance by city. So the idea is you select a city, like Abuja for instance, and then we see the list of elders in this city seeking assistance, and then you can click to offer to volunteer for that particular assistance. So I think this should be okay for our user interface. In the next video, we are going to go into proper programming this interface together to just put all the pieces of the puzzle together and see how our web application is going to look like. So I think we can pause this video here, and then thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to session 3 on how to build a web app that connects elders and volunteers in ASP.NET. My name is Ayuba or John Oguamo Azu. Now in session 3 here, we're going to program our application business logic, which includes looking at the code behind of the profile page, the system page, and all the pages of the volunteers directory. So that's what we're going to do in this session here. And if you can recall, in the last videos we were able to have this profile page here for both the elders and the volunteers, and then we also have a situation where the elder can click assistance and needs and then record assistance and need, in which I said we're going to see how we're going to program this. So we're going to start with the profile page, and then to do that let's just go right ahead and program this immediately. So we have the elders profile.aspx here, and then we've named the appropriate controls. So we need to go to our app code and then go to our volunteers dataset. If you can remember, we created this, and then of course we had our elders table here, where we are to put all these items. But then let's also, since we've seen this and I've seen that we have username here, we need to be able to capture this. So the logged in elder username needs to be captured in this table, and for us to be able to capture that, we have to do that in our login page. So we go to account, we go to login.expx. so now we need to store a session of our username, so we can just quickly just do that here. So just a session, username should be the username tags. So good. So we store a session of our username. So once you're logged in, we get a session of your username. So now that we have that, we can go back to our profile page, right? Go to the code behind here. It should be text address. It should be text address, and then I go to my code behind. First of all, I do this using our dataset is good volunteers dataset table adapters. We need that. Then on this button, click here, and this button update, click here. You'll see that I named this button update, not insert. That's because I still have other things to do with this button. So on click of this, so we can put this in our try and catch block. It's always good to do that. Exception, call that exception. So we say TBL elders table, you can call it I elders should be new tbl elder table adapter, and then I elder should insert. We call the insert statement of this. So we have text full name dot text. Then for the date of birth, we have AXPX edit 1 text. Then city of residence, we have CBO city, the selected item text. And for phone number, we have text phone number text, and then for house address, have address dot text. And then for picture, okay, we're going to work on that. So let me just put an empty string there. Now for username, we have our session, right? Session, we call it username. So this will be to string. Now for picture, here's what we need to do. Okay, let's put this to date, and let's even convert it to dates. But anyway, we'll look at if there is a problem. Now, since we have picture, we first of all need to check that a file has been uploaded, and then so I'm going to leave this as an assignment for you to also check if the file extension is either a JPG, a PNG, or any of the file formats that you know. So I'll just leave that as an assignment for you to do. So here now I'm going to do this string file name. I declare file name, and then I get a part of the file because we're uploading these in our okay, we need to get systems.io. We'll be uploading that in a page here. We'll be uploading all our images in a page here. So I'm going to, in the elders, I'm just going to put their pictures here. I can just put the pictures, everybody's pictures, in a folder. So I'll create a folder called images or pictures. So our folder called images, and then here will be path dot get file name, which of course will be file upload 1. That file name. Right. Then we get this image path. My image path should be images, and that's it. And plus the file name we just had above. So we are going to save the file now by saying file upload 1, save as server map path server.map path, the image path. So the image path we declared above. Right, so now that we have this, we can because we have to check that there is a file file, we should be able to upload that. So now I'm just coming here to save the image part here, which is this. Good. So once it's successful, we can once it's successful, we can just display text that the upload has been successful. So I can drop okay, we can drop the normal text we used to drop, the literal text we used to drop to display message. So we can just drop that here. I can just say LBL message, just for example. Just say successful. Else, if that is a message, there is an error, and we display the error. So let's try and do this and see. So let's see, I use my name and then date of birth. Oh, you can see mine is displaying French, actually, which is our computer system is displaying French here. I'm supposed to be displaying English. Okay, let's say the elderly person was born in 1955 and July 1955. These dates, 1959. City of residence, Lagos. Phone number 090, this, something like this. House address, Isoko Street, Lagos Island. So we choose this picture. Okay, I think we need a grandpa's picture. Yes, why don't we get one? Grandpa image. This is a nice grandpa here. Let's pick this guy here. Grandpa one. I will install a grandpa's picture. So alright, in doing this now, choose a file. Of course, I have it in the videos I'm doing, like a volunteers app here. So here's the grandpa. And then we update. Okay, there is an error. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. That should be, which are the objects then? Is it the date? Let's try and convert this to date and see. Convert to date, time. I should store this as text. Let's refresh this again. Grandpa was given birth to in 1954, March, and accident, Lagos. This is his phone number, and then we said Coast Street, Lagos Island. Now we'll pick the picture. Oh, that means we'll have no problem. And what could be the problem? Let me see. First of all, let me see if the picture is being saved. Let me refresh the images folder. The picture has been saved, so up to this path, everything is working fine. And then full name, city, phone number, address, image path, and this. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Oh, where are we getting this error from? Where are we getting this error from? Okay, let me remove this exception, and so that I can get a clear, full detail of that message. So I'm just going to remove the try and catch block. So we do this again. Just select the current states since we're testing. And then we'll just put something blah blah like that. Put the old man's picture. And then we'll click on update profile. Okay. All right, then we need to start debugging this, and here for the dates, maybe I put nothing, null, and see. Let's assume it's null. Let's check whether the date's the problem. Island. Okay, so the date is not the problem. Then maybe it's the username. Session username. Let me get to see that. Yes, it's the username because we didn't log in. We made that changes in the username and we didn't log in. So my bad, it's the username actually. This has nothing to do with our date. Let me go back and fix that. Well, convert to date, time, xpx date edit one text. We need to log out and log in with the grandpa's account so that we'll be able to capture that session of the username. So that's where the issue is. So we'll log in again. With this account. Okay, so we'll go to profile. So pick a date. Grandpa is supposed to really be an old person. Island. So good, update successful. So we've updated this. Now ideally, after updating this, we are supposed to let's click profile. Based on the username of this grandpa, this information is supposed to display alongside his picture, so you can make changes to the grandpa's information, and we're going to do that now. So if we go back to our SQL server, sorry, I need to log into my SQL server back again. If we go to our SQL server, Management Studio, to look at the information stored there in our table. Volunteers DB, we open the tables, we search for elders. So you can see this information is stored here alongside his username. So here's what we're gonna do now is once you click on profile, you can see it's empty for this logged in user. Now we want to make it in a way that once you click on profile, this information here will be displayed alongside the grandpa's picture. So, and that's what we're going to do now. So on page load, now I can take this back to a normal position it was. So we say if there is no postback, this is on page load. Now we want to get want to query this table and get by grandpa's username, by the elder's username. I usually like using the word grandpa. So I'll query. So we select type the select statement, and then we do this where username, because the username is going to be unique. So we modify this like this. So say get by username. So we say get by username. So save everything. Now I usually like to close these and reopen it again. So now if there is no postback, right? So we say tbl elders by elders. Okay. Then a data table. Get the data table. Oh, that's the data table. Then tbl should be this table adapter. We get by username, and now we'll pass in the session, logged in session username. Now we check if the tables is not empty. Tables.rows count is not 0, and there is a record. That means there is a record. Then we are going to iterate through the table and get each of the information out. So we're going to iterate through the table. So say for each so for each of this row in the so for each row in this table here that we did above, we are going to say text full name. The text should be then text what's the second one in line? Date of birth, right? So ASPX text should be date of birth. short date string. Then the third one in line is city of residence. So CBO city that text should be Iowa. I think we should even change this to dot value, right? I think we should change this to dot value. Then a phone number, house address, right? Text phone number. Good. So for the picture now, for the picture, we need to modify the interface a little bit. So we can drop the picture here. After this, I can drop an image here, but then here the looking for the vertical line. Do we have it here? We're supposed to have it. Okay, row span and column span. So actually column span, right? No, is it column span? No, row span. Row span should be let me count this: 1 2 3 4 5 6. I'm counting this: 1 2 3 4 5 6. So row span should be 6. Height should be maybe 200 pixel. So you can call this image image profile. Image URL should be this. The picture. So let me save these and run these and see. Let me save these and run these and see. So let me refresh this and see the next thing. Okay, so let's hit the profile button and see. All right, there is a problem with the session, so I need to log in again since we have made changes to the code behind. So just log off and log in back. So log in back. Then I hit the profile page. Okay, good. So you can see the information has been displayed about this elder's profile. So if this elder want to update this, is just for him to refill this information and click the update button. But then also we have a problem, and I'm going to explain that to you, in which I'm going to leave that to you as an assignment. If you have a problem, you can reach out to me, and then we can solve that together. Now here is the problem that you're going to face here. We are using one singular button to make updates and insert. And if you can see in this button here, in this button update here, what we have the insert statement, which means at this point, if you click this update button, an insert statement is going to run. So how are you going to solve that? Well, let me give you a hint. It's going to be very easy. First of all, you can check if the information, if this elder's information with this username is already existing in the database. So you can check that. Here you can see we've already done this. Up to this point, we said if tbl.rows.count is not 0. So what you're going to do is you can check in this update button, you can rewrite this code here up to this level and check if the rows count is not 0. So if it's not 0, then you run an insert statement, which of course will be this. But if is above 0, which means if there is a record, then you're going to run an update statement. So you just change this to an update statement. So that's just the only thing you need to do. And but if you run through any issue, you can let me know so that we can interact and solve this problem together, because that's the best way you can learn. Actually, you need to be assigned given an assignment to do. So we've been able to fix this profile for this elder Ayuba Mazu, because it's my name. Then the next thing is assistance and needs. So this elder needs to seek for assistance and all that. Let's see if we can do that here instead of doing that in the next video. So in the assistance page, for that particular elder, if you go to assistance and needs, you can see we dropped a grid view here. And then the simplest way we can solve this is to map this grid view to this table here. So we'll just get the assistant title, the description, and then of course we can display the volunteer, the person that volunteered for this assistant, and then the status of this assistance, whether it's still pending or is complete. So we can do that. But I'm thinking instead of using volunteer ID here, why don't we just use the volunteer's username? Yes, I think we should use the volunteer's username here to be much more better. So we can modify that table a little bit, and then we go to volunteers. Since the username is unique, so I go to edit top 200. Now I go to design. So I go to design. Oh, for not volunteers, I go to assistance design, sorry. And then I change this to volunteer username. And then I save it. Good. So I can modify this table. Now I can just delete this and recreate it back. So you right click, you go to add table adapter. You go to next, click on query builder, you refresh this, and then you click the assistance button, click close, you can select all this. So we have volunteers username and status. Go to next, and check this, to next, click on finish. So here I'm going to show you the power of AXPS Grid View, DevExpress.NET Grid View controls that we have. So we're going to see the power here. Now that we save this, I can close this and open this back, which is how I usually do that, depending on the speed of your computer though. Okay, good. So if we go back to our systems and need pages, what I need to do is to drop an object data source control, which is this. You can drop that here. Then we'll copy this. You can say data source ID should be this. Now we can go to the design view and do our thing. So click the design view there. Then we click on these. Okay, it's still trying to come up. Let's just wait a little. Just wait for this to load. So we're not responding. So click on configure data source, and then so make sure you check this, show only data components, and then we click on assistance table adapter. Go to next. So make sure this select statements, updates, insert, and deletes, everything is okay. Then you click on finish. Then you can see this has updated our table, our grid view table. So we can go back to the data source, and you can see a lot of information has been added here to our columns. So we have the assistant ID, in which we don't really need that, so toggle the visibility to false. The elder ID too. I think the elder ID should also be elder username, actually, not really elder ID. Yes, it should be elder username, since the username is unique here. So let me change that elder username, and then let me change this to our character 50. I guess we need to redo this again. I guess we need to redo this again. Using the username will be much more better. So add table adapter, click on next, go to next, query builder. We'll refresh this since we've made changes. Then we'll go to our systems table, add close, check all this. Click on OK, click on next. We uncheck this, we click on next, and then we finish. Right, so we can save all this information and save everything here. Let's wait for this to save. Then can remove this and then open it back. So now I go back to my assistance page. I'm just redoing what we did. So I go back to the design and then configure data source. So assistance table adapter, make sure everything is okay. So we change this method to this, change the insert method to this, and then the delete method of course is this. Now we click on finish and we'll say yes to make the changes. So if you go back here now, you can see that we are so we have elder username title, this, and status, right? So at this point we can I don't think the elder needs to see his username, so he knows it's his username. So we can toggle the visibility of this to be false, and of course we toggle the visibility of this also to be false. Good. So after doing this, now we need to add an update and insert button. So we'll put this command button, show new button in header, we set that to true. Show edit button, we set that to true. Right? Good. So then we need one more thing. We need one more thing. And that is to check because we need to do this on code behind. So we say on insert statement on row to create that event, and on row updating we also need to create that event. So if we go back to our code behind, on row inserting, what we just need to do is of course we have this. I need to import that first using volunteers table adapters. We'll see TBL assistance, assistance should be TBL assistance table adapter, assistance should insert. So elder username, which of course is the session username, to string, and assistance title, okay, should be e dot new value. So the index there, if we count it, starting from 0, we have starting from 0 based on what we have 0 because we're not displaying this, so we're not displaying this either, so this should be 0. If you look at from what we are displaying, this should be 0, 1, 2, and then 3. I hope I'm correct, but we'll look at it and see. 0.
Sorry.
So 0, either new values, 0, 1, then this is the assistance title, this is the assistance description, then the volunteer's username. Let's leave that as an empty string, which can leave that as null. Then status at this point should be pending. So this will be to string, and then this will be to string. Good. So after doing this, we say e dot cancel. Okay, e dot cancel. I think, am I correct here? So it should be true. I think that's the better one. And axpx one should cancel edit. Okay, let's try this and see. Let's save this and try it and see. So I log off and then log back in because I've made changes a lot. So probably the session would have gone off. Okay, I need to log off properly and then log in. Assistance and needs. So let's click on this. I'm just gonna write some blah blah statements. Well, we don't need to display volunteers username actually. I don't need to display that here, and we don't need to display this here either. Anyway, let's click on update button and see. Okay, good. So I think it's correct. And then what I need to do now is go to assistance and need here, and this toggle the visibility of this to be false, and then status I also toggle the visibility to be false, because it's creating a new assistance. Or here we can make this a combo box, right? Okay, well anyway, let's just leave it false like this. Let's refresh this page. then so now we can edit now and see. I hope my edit button. Okay, well, okay, let's create a new assistance. Before we work on the edits, let's create a new assistance. Let's say fixing of my garden. And description, I need my garden fixed. My garden fixed. The flowers are overgrown, just something like this. So good. So you can see we have an assistance title and assistance description. So let's quickly run through and fix the edit button. So we have row updating, right? So it's simply going to be the same thing. Assistance UTBL assistance table adapter, and then assistance should insert, no, should update rather. If you look at the parameters, you can see we have everything here. So we're updating the elder username, everything based on assistance ID, original assistance ID. So we'll copy everything here. We copy everything here like this, paste it here, and then assistance ID, and then this should be the key, because the assistant ID is the key, is the key field name. So I can convert this to integer. Okay, so edit cancel should be true, and exps script one dot cancel edits should also be true. So let's try this and see. Let's try and edit the first one and make sure everything is working as planned. So maybe here we see broken vehicle brake, for example. I need my vehicle fixed, just something like that. Quickly update button. Good, and this has updated. Okay, only that we made a mistake here, which of course we just toggle it. Here will be 1 and then here will be 2. I hope you understand why we did this. So we say broken vehicle brake, and here we can just say I need my broken vehicle brake fixed, just something like that. All right, so we're able to set up the profile, and then the elderly person can record each of the assistance he needs. So in the next video, we are going to see how a volunteer will see this information and then assist this person. And after assisting the grandpa can now after assisting the elderly person can now toggle this assistance from pending to be complete. We're going to see how we're going to rearrange everything to make sense at the end of the day. So thank you for watching, and stay with me until the next video. Bye. Alright, continuing from where we stopped in the last video, we were able to create the elder's profile, and the elder was able to set up assistance and needs that he has. So now I'm logged in with the volunteers account, and then we should just quickly add a volunteer's profile. So we said the volunteer's name is Steve, so we'll just quickly add the volunteer's profile here. Now this is the same thing we did with the elder's profile, so I can just copy the codes I have in the elder's profile and just make some minimal changes. Like if I come here, I added this image profile here. So if I copy this, that's after the full name. So I have this image profile, and then every other thing is the same except this. Just change this to text address. So if we look at the code behind of what we did in the elder's profile here, it's the same thing we are gonna pick. So I'm just gonna pick same thing and make some minimal changes. I'll go to the code behind of these, and then we paste this here. Of course, we are going to import this namespace using this data set, and then let's also look at this button updates, which I explained these in the last video. So just gonna pick these two, and then I paste this here. So I'm going to change these to volunteers stable adapter. So TPL volunteers stable adapter. Just make these changes. So this will be volunteers data table. Volunteers data table. So we're going to create that query to get username, get by username. So I'm going to create that, but let's just make all the changes we need to make here first. We have this like this, and then we have this like this. Copy this, change it here. Okay, for the volunteers, I think I can see an error here. Anyway, we'll fix all this. So for this part, we import system.io. You can just, if you look at the suggestion, this is taking quite some time. Let's just go import it straight away. So here we say using system.io. Okay, we go to our data set in our app code, and then we get by username for the volunteers table, just the way we have it here. I can see I didn't place username here, so I need to make these changes in the table here. So I go to my design. There's no username here, so I need to add a username. Car 50, just the way we have it in elders here. Good. So we save that. We'll import these again, connect these to our database again. So click on next, click on next, go to your query build because we've made changes. Click on this, go to add and close. Check all this. It's good you usually check them one by one so you get to see the names once you get to see the names of each column once you're working with it on code behind. So I go right ahead and click finish on this one. Then we say get by username, right? So right click here, go to add query, click on next, click on next. So modify this query a little bit, put in our where statement. So we say where username is at username. So click on next, and then we'll change these to get by username. Click on next, and then click on finish. So we save all this. Like I said, I usually close this and reopen it again. Okay, good. So if we go back here, I believe this should work now. So get by username, what's username, right? For volunteers table, of course that should take effect. Okay, good. So this insert statement, I believe, is so full name, date of birth, city, the next one is phone number, house address, the image, and then of course the session of the username that is logged in. So I might still have a problem here. So get by username. Okay, we need to add this label message here. So let's go to our volunteers profile. Just a message that will display stuffs. What did we use in the last for the elders? I think we used the literal control. So I can pick this. So I call this LBL message. So all things being equal, we should be able to add a volunteer to this application. So So let me log off then. And then log in back with volunteer's profile. So let me log off and then log back in. So let me log in back. So volunteer, right? So let's make changes to say Steve Isaac. It's volunteer of about 25 years of age. I should be 96 I guess, maybe March. First city of residence is in Lagos. And then here is his phone number. And then motion area, Lagos Island. So let's choose a picture for him. Our picture here. Okay, let me get a picture online. My pictures, let me see if I have any. I guess I'll have to get a picture online. No, mine image. So let's say this is Steve. Oh, this looks more like Steve. So let's say that the young man there is Steve. And okay, so that's this picture. So if we go back to our app now, so we choose a file. Let's say we've picked this guy. What I did is it correct? I don't know. Let me check my database. Okay, so This is a volunteers page, right? So button updates. Let me check and make sure that button is called button update. Okay, so I guess it's fairly issues btn update. So, and then on click, of course, should call this. So let's redo this again. So let's say Steve Isaac, and then we'll say 25 years of age, and that should be about 1996 July, and I'll just any dates. City of residence Lagos, and here is his phone number, motion area Lagos Island. So we add this young man and we click on update. Okay, update successful. So if I go back and click on profile again, you can see I have his profile completed, just like we did in the elders page. So now the next thing is to program this page, assist an elder. If we refresh this table, we're going to see these records are here. So the idea here is select a city and then we display the information. So what are the information we want to display once you select once you seek elders, search elders seeking assistance by city? So go back to our data set and create that. Okay. I think we need to create a view of elders, volunteers, and assistants. We need to create a view. We need to create a view of elders, assistants, and then volunteers, assistants. We need to create that view. So we can do that by we can do that here, and we can also do it in our data set. So just anyone that works well for us, but let's start by doing this. So you go to view, expand view, you go to add new view, you can refresh. So we want to create a new view here. We add our elders table, we add assistants table, and then let's see what we're going to get here. So I'm taking this username and connecting it here to elders username here, even though it's not the primary key. So now what I'm interested here is city of residence. Right, and then house address, probably phone number, just every other thing though. Okay, good. This gives me what I want. So you can see if we search by city now, we can return these records here. So you can see this particular elder, and then you can see information about him, and you can see what he's in need of. So let's call this view assistance. Now let's save it. So we can import that view here. Go to next, go to next, go to query builder, freshen this, go to views, refresh, and then we have our elders assistance. Click on add, close. So we check all this out. Did I add status? Good, no status. Click on next. Oh, I usually like to arrange my stuffs like this. So good, here now we can get by city of residence for the elder. So we go to add query. For the next, then we say where city of residence. Add city. And status is pending, because we don't want to display we don't want to retrieve records that status is already complete. So we'll click on next. I think all this such elders. Such elders in need. So we'll click on finish, right? And then I can close these and reopen it again. So if we go back to our search page here, we can now display what we need, in which I feel we should just display the elder. Once you search, we'll just display the elder name, the elderly person's full name, and then assistance title, and then probably description, and then status, and that's all. So let's just display that's information for now. So here now I can say auto generate columns, should be false. Let's use data text column. Field name, full name of the elder. Field name also should be, so we display his full name, we display assistance title. Okay. We display just for this first page, we display status, yes, and then city of residence. think the city of residence can be the first one. So I copied that and pasted it up. City of residence. I can make that in bold. Then we also need to place a template control. Which now we'll place our button here, and then we'll say offer assistance. Right, and this one we can do to post back to be true. On select change, good. Select index change. So go to on select CBL, now view. Is to view all this assistance. I assist should be this. Then we say this data source should be I assist. Let's get search elders in need by city, which will be CBO city. The selected item, the text, either the text or the value, they're all the same thing according to our design. So we bring this to the grid view. So let's run this and see. Let's refresh this page. So see Lagos. Good. So you can see list of elders in need. So the same person is in need of a broken vehicle and fix of guidance. So we can click these now. The idea is he clicks on this to offer assistance, and then the elder gets to see the person offering that assistance. So once he clicks on these as a volunteer, our database table is going to change, which is the assistance table is going to change, and we're going to have here the volunteers username, but the status will still be pending. So until the elder comes in, logs in, and then changes this status to complete, then we know that yes, this particular assistance that the elder is in need of has been modified or has been completed. So okay, all right, that's about this session here. In the next session we shall continue from here that we stopped, and then see how we're going to wrap up everything. Thank you for watching.